Today we were greeted by the ski committee. Thank you, ski committee. You guys were fantastic. Yeah. Right. That is, I haven't been able to go on that trip yet, but next year, I always say next year, we got to go. Alrighty. Today we've got our traveling red badgers with microphones. Today we've got Julie Stover and Mike Ciramelli. Where are you guys? Okay, fantastic. Give us an introduction, who your sponsor is, and a little fun fact about you.
Hi, Leslie. Mike Ciramelli. My sponsor is Catherine Vanderveer, and I'm wearing San Jose State and Santa Clara today. So
go Spartans! Go Broncos!
Try to catch everyone in good graces.
Broncos.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Great to have you. Hey, Julie.
Hello, President Heather. I'm Julie Stover, and my sponsors are Rod Dearden and Heather. Yay. So President Heather. And not really a fun fact, I'm just going to say that I'm just executive director of a nonprofit that is just near and dear to my heart, and it's for art, for therapy for kids, low-income kids.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Julie.
You.
All right, if you are a visiting Rotarian or a Rotarian with a guest, please stand so our microphones can find you. I think Mike Ford, do you have one, or you just stand in line? No, he's just waiting for water. He's just waiting for a refill. I think Sean Cottle's got one.
Hi, President Heather.
Oh, Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie.
I'm Stephanie Belansky-Fair, and I have two guests that I brought with me today. I actually met them at the Capitol Club, and they're Charla and Darren Johnson. And Charla is an NVIDIA partner, that works for an NVIDIA partner, and Darren works for NVIDIA. And they're lovely people, they're go-getters.
Well, we're very glad to have you in the room. Thank you.
Hi, President Heather and fellow Rotarians. I'm Vivian Tran with Hoover Kapulka Family Law Attorneys. Today I have my old colleague, Stephen Doe, and he's with Berliner Cohen.
He looks so young. He doesn't look like an old colleague.
Yeah, I know, right?
Welcome. Glad to have you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, President Heather. Sean Cottle, classification real estate lawyer. And I'd like to introduce one of our associates at Hoag Fenton, Julia Stewart.
Hi, Julia. Great to meet you in the lobby earlier.
Hi, President Heather. Sue Smith. I brought my sponsor, Dick King, and his wife, Karen.
Wow, great to see you in the room again, Dick. Hi, Karen.
President Heather, Norm Holberg, Real Estate Appraising. My guest is Emma Lloyd. She's an attorney with the eminent firm of Hoag Fenton.
Have you been here before? You look familiar. First visit? Okay, great. Well, welcome. Looks like we've got Nancy Williams next.
Hello, President Heather. My guest today is my niece, Kelsey Donnellan, who has just relocated back to San Jose from Washington, D.C., where she's a healthcare and leadership consultant. So she's moved her whole practice here, brought some of her clients with her, but she's looking for more and thinking about joining Rotary.
Fantastic. Great to have you back in San Jose. So glad to have you. Rod Dearden.
Your Royal Highness,
Yes.
I am very proud to introduce Caroline Willis, who is with Sequoia Capital. Got lots of money over there. And she's going to be involved in the Guadalupe River Parks and activities through our club. She's on their board, and she's a phenomenal leader. I think you'll enjoy her, and she was approved by the membership committee on Tuesday.
You're not supposed to mention that yet. We're so happy to have you, Caroline. Thank you. Really glad to have some leadership in the room from Guadalupe. It's been a while, and we're excited about that partnership. Teresa.
Hi, President Heather. Nice to see you. Teresa Alvarado. My sponsor was Yvonne Montes de Oca, and I'm very happy to have a hopefully prospective Rotarian, the new GM for the Hotel De Anza, Sean Curtis.
Oh, wonderful. Great to have you. Fantastic property. Glad you're in the room. All right.
Hello,
Hi,
President Heather.
You look
Kelly
dressed.
Dipple.
Kelly, you look dressed like you got some luggage.
Yeah.
Did you? If you don't know, Kelly had a horrific experience with her luggage, but it got reunited.
For the love of God, they left it on my doorstep overnight. Thank you, United. Cheers.
Cheers.
Anyway.
Cheers. We'll find them.
Kelly Dippo, Coldwell Banker, Sarju Naran was my sponsor, and I would like to introduce my very good friend, Rob McCarthy. Rob was the owner of 101 Loans, and he is now with Wells Fargo, so he could lend globally, and he's a fabulous guy.
Great to have a fabulous guy in the room. Thanks for bringing him. Hey, Matt.
Hey, President Heather. and Rotarians. Happy to introduce my guest today, my dear friend, former colleague at Cristo Rey San Jose Jesuit High School, and now the CEO of the Grande Center, Joe Albers.
Great to have you, Joe. I'm loving this mini trend of older colleagues in coming back and united at Rotary. Thank you. Hi, Mick.
Hi, Madam President. My guest today is my colleague at Miller Center for Miller Center for Global Impact, Director of Marketing Communications, Karen Carter.
Great to have you, Karen. Mick, so nice to have you in the room. All right, how we doing? All clear? Fantastic, nice guest today. So glad to have you in the room. Next up, we've got the Red Badge Committee. Come on up. I believe it's going to be Odessa and Mike. Here they come. They're going to give us an update on the Red Badge Service Project.
Good afternoon. My name is Odessa Bitbedel. I'm here joined with Michael Gudo, and our co-chair was also Roxy Khan. The event took place on March 8th. It was revitalizing Guadalupe River Park. We were joined and worked with Mayor Mahan's office and City of San Jose and Beautify San Jose. And Mike will tell you a little bit more about the project.
Hi, everybody. So we did Arena Green by the SAP Center, which is kind of important to the military community. We stage out of there every year for the parade, so it was nice for us to be involved to paint that up, and basically painted all the bollards and the cans and anything you can see. Do we flip the charts? Or? Okay. Painted anything that didn't move, for those of you in the military, you get that. Mine, we were going to send a picture up to the Louvre because we spent so much time on one garbage can. It was the best thing we've ever seen there. Okay, so that's kind of the group, the process, brushed, cleaned, and painted, and then we supplied coffee and donuts and the free labor. Let me go back. So just pictures, see if anybody you know is on that chart. Basically, all of us. So it was a great job. It was a great partnership with the city, and it was a really good day. We had good weather, so that was helpful. So I'll turn it back over to Arissa.
Thank you, Mike. As we were working, this lady approached me at some point and said, "What group are you from?" And I said, "San Jose Rotary." And she says, "Wow, you're such a fun group." Of course, I asked the question, why? She said, because while Mayor Mahan was introducing different groups, we cheered the most. So it reminded me that Rotary is in each and every one of us, and we have a responsibility to market it and speak highly of it and show our best face out there. With that, I just want to say thank you again. As you can see, this one picture speaks volumes. When you provide donuts for people, they will eat and smile. You cannot be an angry eater, donut eater, and that was the last one standing, so I took a picture of it before it was gone. With that, thank you so much for all those who helped that day, because it was not only a Red Badge, but also we had other members join. Please stand up if you're here. We just want to make sure we recognize you, and don't be shy. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. That's a second project in 1 year. Super impressive. A lot of clean trash cans in San Jose. Next up, Mike Fulton. Come join me on the stage, please.
I'm here.
Oh, wow. All right. Come on up.
Hey, everybody. I'm here to talk about El Salvador, a Rotary project chaired by myself and co-chaired by Sue Smith. We just returned from reviewing completed projects. We were in the rural areas shown in red near the Guatemala border, where poverty is extreme and education is underinvested. This year, the project was about $27,000, much from Rotarians themselves. It was invested in projects for schools, for community, and to learn English. Let me now walk you through each project. And we made sure that a stop at Walmart to buy toys for every school was a priority. The rural schools were off remote dirt country roads with the children taking long, hot walks to and from school. Life is difficult, but you don't see it in their smiling faces. Even excited when Sue Smith gives him a $2 ball from Walmart. The project at our first school was to build a wall around vacant school property to keep the students safe. Mission accomplished. We then traveled to a community of about 2,000 residents that had one soccer field. The problem was the balls kept going over a short fence and being lost to dogs. So we had a 16-foot-high fence constructed. It's now being completed, and lights are being added, so they have our first soccer games ever in the evening. Hi, Wall. We went to Flor Emerlia School, where we retiled their broken, unsafe concrete walkways, replaced leaking roofs over 3 classrooms, and purchased a pump to activate their water collection system. At Monteverde School, they had no outdoor shade, so we built a 60-foot roof structure and today is used by students, parents, and the local proud community. Our new focus this year is fostering students to learn English as a pathway for future employment. Here at El Progreso School, we hired a Saturday English teacher for 10 months for 4 hours of weekly instruction, and 20 children are attending. Here, 2 of the students teach Sue in English how to make tortillas. We took a risk this year in offering rural high school graduates scholarships for 10 months to learn English and then be placed for employment in a call center. But we were nervous. What if none were interested? What if the bus rides were too long? What if the parents wouldn't let them go? As it turned out, it was a huge success. The 6 recipients in this picture are all enrolled, with one already graduated. He has a job in a call center. He earns over $700 a month. His mother, by the way, earns $200 a month. When we asked all 6 how they would use their job earnings, they all said the same thing: to help my mother. Today, there's essentially a waiting list for these scholarships. While we're overjoyed with our successes, we're also saddened by what we saw that has not been addressed. For example, at Santa Elena School, the government promised to repair school facilities. Hey, they were jubilant. Unfortunately, the government just advised them that the contractor stole the money and the project wouldn't go forward. We saw 1 working toilet for 200 students and 5 teachers at one school. We saw a school with an average class size of 45, with 1 classroom combining 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th graders. We saw playgrounds with no play equipment, leaky classroom roofs, 30-year-old student furniture literally falling apart. And how about a class of 20 bright high school seniors, where absolutely none are going on to college? But once again, these conditions did not take away from the spirit of the children, who smiled, sang, and even danced. Even Rotarians felt the spirit. With that, a big thanks to Rotary, to Sue, and the other Rotarians like Carl Salas, Dick Conoff, Bunny Layden, and Jeff Lawson, who also made this all possible. God bless.
Wow. And you are all a part of that fantastic presentation. Next up, Michelle Loxon, Fun and Friendship.
Okay, great. Hey, y'all. Hi, I'm Michelle. I have the honor of serving as the co-chair of the Fun and Friendship Committee with my dear friend Jean Serpa. And the goal of Fun and Friendship Committee is to foster a vibrant and engaged Rotary community by curating meaningful, fun, and memorable social events that strengthen fellowship, enhance club involvement, and celebrate the spirit of togetherness. And over the past 9 months, we've had a lot of fun and have offered a number of fun events that have included an exclusive tour of History San Jose's warehouse, hikes, Christmas in the Park, We've been bowling, we've played bocce, and we've enjoyed a few happy hours together. But I'm here to, I'm here to share 2 upcoming opportunities. The first one is actually the event that put Fun and Friendship on the map personally for me, and that is the annual, dun dun dun, oh, here we go. The annual Bryan Adams Mini Masters event. The event this year is on Sunday, April 27th, and we have a new location at Urban Pet right here in our beloved downtown. And the second is, okay, thanks. And the second is the fireside gatherings. And our fireside gatherings are small, informal socials that are hosted by Rotarians. It's often with a fun twist. Maybe it's a whiskey tasting. Where's my friend Doug? There you are. Maybe it's trivia. Maybe it's backyard bocce. It's up to you. And we are looking for hosts for this year's fireside season. So if this is something that you can consider, please come check us out in the lobby. We've got flyers, we've got smiles, and we've got fun. Sound good? Thanks.
Thanks, Michelle. I want to give a special shout out to Michelle and Jean for saying yes when I asked you to be co-chairs to this. It used to be just, the firesides. That's what Fun and Friendship Committee led was that. And you can see the different engagement opportunities. You guys have really just gone above and beyond. Thank you. Now it's time for Around Town with Sal Pizarro.
And I am thrilled to see we are right on time with our agenda, but don't you worry, I will take care of that for you. Welcome to April. I hope you're all having a nice time in beautiful San Jose. I just got here from the Tech Museum where there was a mini performance for school children by performers from Cirque du Soleil, which opens its show Echo tomorrow night at the Santa Clara County Fairgrounds. If you want to check that out, that's a bonus. It's not even on my slides. Big thing happening this week, though, is Viva Calle is this Sunday. This is the 10th annual Viva Calle event. That's where you put away your car, add your bike, your feet, your skates, however you want to do it. The endpoints are Emma Prush Farm Park, St. James Park, and Tamian Park. And of course, goes right through the heart of downtown San Jose. The San Jose Day, which is a celebration of all things San Jose, yesterday was 408 Day, is taking place on Saturday at Emma Prush Farm Park. There's going to be art, music, dance, all sorts of things. Before I move on, I would be remiss to not let you know the big news that, of course, is going on downtown, especially for Councilman Carl, that initial results from yesterday's District 3 election show Gabby Chavez Lopez in a comfortable lead, that there will definitely be a runoff on June 24th that likely sees her facing Matthew Quevedo. But Anthony Tortillas is about 160 votes behind Quevedo, and there's more votes coming in today, so we'll see what happens. But you can expect to vote again on June 24th. So on with the fun stuff again. So also coming up in a couple of weeks is the return of the downtown farmers market after a hiatus of a couple of years. Now it's going to be every Wednesday, which is before Rotary, 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. in the Hammer Theater Center Plaza. I think this is a better location for it than in SoFA. It'll be interesting to see if it thrives there. We've also had a couple of recent restaurant openings downtown. There's the Press Room on the corner of Santa Clara Street and Almaden Avenue. I'm fond of it since it was a Mercury News headquarters about 100 years ago or so. And it's a really nice upscale restaurant. They're open for lunch, dinner, and happy hour right now, and they have a bar called the Bar Mercury attached to it. So I'm also a fan of that. And if you're looking for something a little less expensive, you can try 6th Street Burger, which opened on Santa Clara Street right across from San Jose City Hall. And they've got smash burgers, hot dogs, fries, shakes. I've been to both. I can recommend them both. Now, I want to put a spotlight on one of my favorite music venues downtown right now, and that's the San Jose Jazz Break Room in the lobby of the old Valley Title Building. The San Jose Jazz recently wrapped up its winter series and its New Works Festival, and they're already heading strong into spring with several shows this month, which I've got listed here on this slide. You can find out more about those artists and those shows or get tickets at sanjosejazz.org. And finally, here's our calendar for the month. So City Lights extended its run of the Mousetrap through this weekend. You've got 3 more chances to see it. This is the longest running show in world history in London, based on the Agatha Christie wrote it. What I didn't know until I saw it last weekend is it's really funny too. It's funnier than any of her books. Another funny show is The Underpants, a period comedy that was adapted by Steve Martin, and that just opened at San Jose Stage and running for the rest of the month. You've also got Waitress opening this weekend, a children's musical theater. We had Kevin Hoggy here talking about that, and we saw a little mini performance from that. And for fans of Japanese anime, there's Naruto, the symphonic experience at the Center for Performing Arts on April 18th. Opera San Jose is bringing Hector Armienta's Zorro to life at the California Theater starting April 19th, and Broadway San Jose is opening the smash hit 6 at the CPA on April 22nd. And that's what's going on this month. We'll see you in May.
I always learn something new. That was pretty cool. All right, President's time. I'll be brief here. Is this the cutest picture in the world? This is the Unhoused Impact Committee, and this is just one of a reel. You'll see them in the highlight reel next week for the meeting, but I had to give a shout out to the Unhoused Impact Committee who went with Dignity Moves, and they furnished one of the units there, and I just think that's another great example. If you haven't gotten the memo that this club gets out and does things outside of this room all the time, I hope that's the big takeaway from today. So thank you, Unhoused Impact Committee. I love that photo. Next week, we've got Sakura at the Summit Center. Our friends from Okayama are going to be joining us. Special menu from Scott's, and we've got a performance by our own San Jose Taiko drummers. We've even got cherry pie Pinot Noir served by Bert George. It's going to be everything cherry, and if you didn't see my reel on social media, we are having Peter's Bakery make us the first ever cherry burnt almond cake, the San Jose Classic. I got to debut that at the Progress in Pizza meeting last week, and we got good results from it, so great. Don't forget, mini golf on April 17th is a happy hour mixer. And this is really important. The program committee really needs your feedback. I know we do surveys, blah, 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 but I think they've had 28 people. We're a 400+ club. Can you please scan this? Please take the survey. You'll get better programs, more engagement. You'll get what you want to see here in the room if you take that. That's what's in it for you. All right, let's get to our main program. All right, who's my intro? Larry Donatoni, come on up. Larry Donatoni.
Thank you, Heather, for the introduction. And just in the QR code, if you didn't get a chance to kind of catch that, look for program committee members. We all have the QR codes here, so you can get it up close and personal. Today, we live in a world of constant change, especially for those globally who live in the world of poverty. Our speaker, Brigit Helms, has over 40 years of experience in helping families globally exit poverty to enhance the quality of their life through social entrepreneurship. Brigit currently serves as the director of the Miller Center for Global Impact at Santa Clara University. As a seasoned executive, her leadership and experience has pioneered innovative approaches to finance and other market-based solutions to poverty. Brigit has created and delivered solutions to social and environmental challenges in 55 countries across Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Educationally, she has a PhD and a master's in developmental and agricultural economics from Stanford University, an MA in Latin American studies from Johns Hopkins, all following her BS degree in political science from Santa Clara University. As our world faces a new level of economic challenges, we welcome Brigit to provide her unique perspective on how social entrepreneurship is lifting families facing a life of poverty. Brigit?
Okay. Oh, hello. Does it work?
Yeah.
I mean, are you hearing any feedback? Yeah. I don't know how to. Wow. Thank you so much for having me here. It's really it's a huge pleasure. I feel like there's a, is it some kind of a reverb or something, or is it okay? Can I do anything? I don't know.
It's not bothering us.
It's not bothering you. It's not. I won't let it bother myself either. Well, you know, as we saw in the case in El Salvador, and as you alluded to, Larry, so many people in this world are facing lives of abject poverty, living in communities with inequality, dealing with climate change, already lack access to basic things like education, quality education, things that we take for granted to a large extent, right? Water, sanitation, electricity. And what's unfortunately, the traditional solutions, whether those be government solutions or traditional charitable solutions, are just not up to the task to solving these problems at scale. That's the reality we face. And this is where social entrepreneurship comes in. What is social entrepreneurship, you might be asking yourself? It's the application of business principles to solve social and environmental problems. Social entrepreneurs see problems in their communities and they do something about it. They figure out how to create a sustainable business model that will continue to deliver impact over the long haul. Continue to deliver impact over the long haul. And these are scalable business models. I'll talk a little bit about more of that a little bit later. So before I do that, I'd like to introduce you to the deacon. So this is a smallholder farmer that I met in Kenya last year. And like so many other smallholder farmers before him, he really struggled to make enough to keep his family alive, much less going, until he became a customer of Sistema Bio. Sistema Bio is an ingenious company that transforms bio-waste. It's a biodigester that transforms bio-waste into both clean energy for the home, where they can use clean gas for cooking and things like that, as well as organic fertilizer. So you have this one solution that's a triple threat, because you have the economic impact, where now the deacon is able to earn thousands of dollars per month because he's been able to get into high-value mushrooms and other types of products due to the fertilizer. Plus, you have the health impact, because the way that they were cooking before in the house was by burning wood and charcoal and breathing that stuff in, and all the kids were getting very, very sick, and it's terrible. And then the third thing is the climate impact, because you're capturing the methane from the animals. And so you have this complex solution, but actually very, very simple in the sense that it makes this person's life so much better over the long term. Now, Sistema Bio is just one of hundreds and thousands of social enterprises out there in the world. The problem with social entrepreneurs today is that many of them find themselves in this valley of death. I mean, I'm sure that many people in this room have heard this terminology. It's a very Silicon Valley kind of terminology. But what it means is that unfortunately, even though there's $2 trillion of assets under management in impact investing, most of it is not fit for purpose for the kinds of entrepreneurs that we're talking about. And why is that? Well, first of all, the instruments, I heard there's a couple of VCs out there. How many people are in the VC business out there? Oh, I thought there were a few more than that. Yeah, so a lot of the funds that are structured as impact investing are structured exactly like a fund is structured here. And the problem with that is that makes you look for, unicorns. right? Companies that are growing like this. And most of the companies that we work with grow like this. And so the instruments themselves don't really work. The second thing is that there's a communication gap between these entrepreneurs and the funders. And then thirdly, another really big problem that we have is that everybody is waiting for someone else to go first. We like to say that impact investors love to be first to go second. That might, resonate with some people even around here. So what the problem is that what you need to do is you need to solve all three of those problems in order to create a verdant, green valley and support the entrepreneurs to get through to the other side so that they can have the kind of impact that they need to be having at scale. Now, as we talk more about impact investing, because social entrepreneurship and impact investing are sort of go hand in hand. It's the source of funding for most social entrepreneurs. So there's kind of I would say a message out there, a narrative out there in the world that you can have your cake and eat it too. That you can have deep impact and also achieve huge financial returns. And I'm here to, I hate to burst your bubble here, but it's just not true. It's just not true. Once you get past certain fields like maybe fintech, there's a few sectors where that might be true. But in general, there are trade-offs. There are trade-offs. And we need to be completely revolutionizing and rethinking the way we approach supporting and funding entrepreneurs who are solving the world's gravest problems on the ground. Right now, we really are not equipped. This is a completely new area of action that we're very much involved with at Miller Center. So look, if this valley of death is so sort of dire for all entrepreneurs, imagine what it might be like for women founders. Does anyone know the percentage of capital, VC capital, that goes to female founders in the United States today? 2. Yeah, that's down a bit from the last couple of years. What is up with that? Because the data doesn't support that, right? Female founders perform at least as well, and in some studies, twice as well as male-led companies. And so there can only be one explanation for it. And let me ask some experts about what that explanation might be about. Hope this is going to work. Okay, push it again.
Let's talk about the dream gap. What's that? It's the gap that comes between girls and their full potential. You see, starting at age 5, girls stop believing they can be presidents, scientists, astronauts, big thinkers, engineers, CEOs, and the list goes on. Why? Because what else are we going to believe when by age 7, we're more likely to think that boys are smarter than us? That's ridiculous. When we are 3 times less likely to be given a science-related toy, that's sad. And when our parents are twice as likely to Google, is my son gifted? Then is my daughter gifted? That's not cool. We need to see brilliant women being brilliant and see how...
We need to see brilliant women being brilliant. Isn't that amazing? I love that. I love that. It goes on a little bit farther, but the reason why I'm talking about this is because I believe, and there's some research that's been done by Maya Ackerman, who's at Santa Clara University. I believe she's going to be with you in some weeks or whatever. Found that it's actually brilliance bias that's at the core of all that, of what we see on the ground. Because when you close your eyes and think of who's brilliant, I mean, this is the kind of, well, what happened to him? Oh, there he is, okay. This is the kind of image that comes immediately into your head, right? Or see, we all do it. It's women and men, by the way. This is not a gendered perception or anything like that. So brilliance bias is the assumption that the most intelligent and brilliant people are out there are men. But brilliance also looks like Mae Jemison, right? How many of you know about Mae Jemison? Yeah, well, that's good, at least. More than the last place I talked. This is an amazing, brilliant doctor, engineer, NASA astronaut speaking, Japanese, Russian, and Swahili, and just an incredibly brilliant woman. And there's so many others like her that we could easily name. So I think, for me, this is a real call to action for us to think about how do we change the way that we're framing and the mindsets that we're framing about women and what women and girls can achieve so that the next generation doesn't, grow up thinking this, and that we're not sitting here 10 years from now when it's maybe, 2 or 3% of VC funding going to women founders. All right, so speaking of the next generation, a real spark of hope for me, working at a university, is the young people. Without an exception, almost every student that I encounter at Santa Clara University wants some kind of purpose in their life. And it's not just our university, it's everywhere. My own kids. They don't want to go out there and just make money and get a great job and all of that stuff. I mean, hopefully they want some of those things too, especially my son. I hope he wants to get a job eventually. Oh gosh. But anyway, but what they do want is they want a job with purpose and with impact. And universities are the places where we can equip them with the tools and with the knowledge and the ability, the problem solving, to be able to be innovative and to go out there and see a problem in their community and do something about it, just like these social entrepreneurs are doing every day that we see. I've talked to you about the social enterprises. I've talked to you about the students. At Miller Center, we have what we call a trifecta business model, which also includes our mentors. We have the most amazing network of about 500 executive mentors. Most of them are from right here in Silicon Valley, not all of them. They're a very cool group, kind of like, like you all. They're people who actually care about the world, care about giving back, want to do something meaningful. And that's why people come, that's why the entrepreneurs from around the world come to Miller Center, to get access to our network of executive mentors. So if you have any interest at all in joining that group, we'd love to invite you to come. One thing that, many of you have been mentors before. How many have been mentors before? Right. And wouldn't you say that you get as much as you get? Yeah, right? It's a mutual relationship. It's not just sort of a one-way street whatsoever. So if you have some interest, going to make sure things, oh, there's the mentors. There. Oh, whoops, shoot, I went too far? No, yeah, there we go. If you have some interest, and you might like to join, or at least find out if you might like to join, Miller Center Mentor Community, then feel free to take a snapshot of that QR code, and with that, I invite you to become part of this amazing network of change makers that we have going on globally. Thank you. So Q&A
That
now?
caught me by surprise. We ended a little early. We've got Julie and Mike on microphones. If you've got questions, please
Oh,
raise your
yeah.
hand and they'll find you.
Okay, I was told I have to be up here for this part.
Thank you so much for enlightening us on what's going on through your institute. But I have a question. Working with a gentleman in Kenya is a wonderful thing to do, but is there any opportunity for the families that are impoverished in the southern states of the United States?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the challenges that we face in the U.S., and we've tried on a number of different occasions to make this kind of solution work in the U.S. The problem that we have here is twofold. One is when you start talking about social entrepreneurship here in the U.S., people's minds immediately go to nonprofit and charity. Not just structurally, but mindset-wise. And philanthropy. So that's one problem. And we are interested in solutions that incorporate a business model that will not have to rely on philanthropy and charity forever, that will actually be independently sustainable over time. So that's one problem. The other problem is, frankly, we just have better basic infrastructure. So the kinds of problems that people are solving in Kenya or El Salvador or India or wherever they are, it's partly because of the market failure of the governments just not being able to reach people with quality services that we take for granted. I mean, you walk in your house, you turn on the water, it comes out, right? For people who don't have that, people are willing to pay for water because they need it. So those are the two reasons, but yes, the answer to your question is yes, it's becoming more and more prevalent in the US, but relatively recently. It's easier for an entrepreneur in Rwanda to wrap their head around making a business out of something like this than here in the US. There is one, if you're interested, we did have one very successful partnership with a group in Baltimore. It's called Innovation Works Baltimore. And we created with them a joint venture. It's called Weaving Impact. And Weaving Impact is meant to replicate this joint model where we share our mentor base and our curriculum and everything else with Innovation Works Baltimore and recreate that across 10 cities in the United States. And I think last time I checked, they were looking at San Jose. But one of the problems is to find the right partner who has the mindset. It's a great question. I get asked that a lot.
Ma'am, your presentation is spectacular.
Thank you.
It's very, very important. And this comes from a person with a daughter who is really brilliant, and she's never had the opportunities that her brother had. And you really have a message to share. And I'm glad you're here today. Are you a Rotarian?
I'm not a Rotarian, but I really liked all those fun activities that were being presented before. And the fact that the slide after mine is the dancing cat makes me think, like, I might have to be,
All right. Then you are formally invited.
Thank you.
Looks like Mark McKenna is next.
Thank you for your presentation. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more. I forget the name of the enterprise in Kenya that the person connected to.
Yes.
But could you tell more about that enterprise? Because that's the social entrepreneurship, I assume.
Correct.
Where did they start from? How did they build themselves up?
Absolutely. It's a fascinating story. So they started in Mexico, working with smallholder farmers in Mexico. Essentially what they do is I really feel like I have to get, sorry about that. I don't like to be behind things. I feel like it's, okay. They create and sell these massive plastic bags that captures the animal poop and turns it into gas and fertilizer. It's incredibly simple. They started in Mexico, and they were so successful there that they went to India, and then they started producing all of their own bags instead of buying them from somewhere else. And then they went to Africa, and now that company is actually quite successful. They are about a $40 million company, which is very big for our sector. They've installed more than 100,000 of those installations of the biodigesters. And something that's really exciting is that they are now able to tap into the carbon credit markets. And so what they do is that they can show to people who want to buy, carbon credits, that they are reducing greenhouse gas emissions by X amount. And so they take that revenue as an extra revenue share to be able to then reach even poorer and lower income people. There's sort of a cross subsidy. So it's actually an incredibly cool story. The company's called Sistema Bio. Sistema Bio. It's an amazing story. One of our more successful cases.
Mark McKenna is with our Climate Action Sustainability Committee.
So it's an
fantastic,
amazing case.
Yeah. We've got Fernando.
Yes, given the current administration's position with respect to women-led organizations, do you anticipate any pushback with what you're doing?
What stays in the room? Like what's said in the room? No. Look, I'll tell you where there has and there will be, if not pushback, a serious impact, which is the current administration's perspective on foreign assistance, where they have essentially completely cut all of the foreign assistance that this country gives to the world, which is a 0.6% of 1% of our budget, but still $50 billion that has been like sucked out of economies from one day to the next. I heard a story that I was just in Kenya 2 weeks ago, and I heard a story that nobody's going to the hospitals anymore right now because a significant percentage of the nurses at the public hospitals had been paid for by USAID. And so all of those nurses and their families are now plunged into poverty, as well as all the people not going to the hospital because they know that there's nobody there to help them, and getting sicker and then plunging into poverty. So I don't think we've even seen the beginning of the ripple effects of that kind of thing. They were talking about 40,000 jobs in Kenya alone being lost. So that is definitely an impact. On the women thing, it's possible, but in my view, this is all about justice and equity. I come from a Jesuit university, and we believe in equity for everyone. And right now, whenever we see inequity, we don't like it. And for me, focusing on women entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs that are supporting women in different ways is just, a no-brainer.
I thought I had, thank you. Yes, go for it.
Hi, my question is, I'm aware that there are other micro-enterprise programs usually giving even smaller amounts or much smaller, $500 to $1,000 amounts, and I know someone won a Nobel Prize because of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if you could comment on that and how that relates to what you're doing.
Sure.
And what we can do to get more of that.
Yeah, microcredit. Muhammad Yunus is the one who won the Nobel Prize. He's now the interim president of Bangladesh and also a good friend of mine. I've worked in that field for many years. What we're talking about here is a bit different. So you have, like everywhere, there's a whole spectrum of companies in any economy, right? So in many of the countries where we work, you have the subsistence companies. These are just barely getting by to make money. And then they start to get bigger and bigger. Now, the microfinance institutions serve those very, very small ones. What we do, we support companies once they've reached at least 50,000 or 100,000 in revenue, up until about $1 million in revenue, because these are the ones that are actually going to scale and replicate. So those, the small ones are important, but they're not really going to scale. They're not really going to create the jobs and the quality jobs that are needed. So everything's needed. It's all on a spectrum, but it's just quite different. The companies that we work with are just bigger and higher potential for scale.
Nancy Williams Guest has a question. Go ahead and tell your name again, please.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Kelsey Donnellan. And I want to say thank you for the presentation. Something I'm sitting with is how often I'm in a room where women founders like myself are reminded the uphill battle we have. And so my question / recommendation is, do you have any bright spots, any hope? For myself, I work in a collaborative model with other women founders where we are self-funded and we have done it ourselves because we can't rely on some of the funders. So I'm just kind of curious if you have any information about that, and if you do, perhaps including that to provide some hope for those of us following in your footsteps.
Fair enough. Yeah, within our network we have, we've accelerated about 1,500 companies across 100 countries around the world. The last 2 years, 75% of the founders have been women. So we have, personally, we have tried to, move things, in our own, small way in another direction. I think what you're talking about, collaboratives, working together, what we're finding right now, today more than ever, both women and men, entrepreneurs who are doing this very, very difficult work of trying to solve poverty, are thirsting for community. What they want is to be together, to help each other, and to work together to solve the problems. Everyone understands that nobody can do it all on their own. So we have lots of examples of companies that get together, that are helping each other in a whole bunch of really creative and different ways. I think yesterday we had 95 companies, a lot of them, as I saw, mostly women founders, on a webinar about how to crush LinkedIn, to kind of raise their profiles and stuff like that. So I think there are a lot of really interesting things that are happening. There are more and more women fund managers. Unfortunately, the brilliance bias hasn't quite tipped the balance yet among the women fund managers. But yeah, honestly, things can only go in one way, I think, on this topic.
Thank you, Kelsey, for that brave question. I appreciate that. And thanks for your leadership and providing a model. I've got Steve Prouty, and I think someone in the back needs a microphone as well. Go for it, Steve.
Well, there are huge environmental issues facing the world. And what you mentioned one solution, which was to convert poop into fertilizer and usable gas.
Right.
What are the other areas of environmental impact that you're seeing being addressed?
Absolutely. So we focus, in addition to women, we also focus on climate resilience. So we tend to look at the climate impact that's already happening. And the climate impact, and who are the most vulnerable to that impact? Well, it's the people who are the poor, the marginalized, the excluded, et cetera. So we look at solutions, business solutions that can support those people to not just kind of survive, but also thrive. So regenerative agriculture in a lot of different permutations, access to clean water and sanitation. I think it's very clear that there's a very direct connection between water and the climate crisis, either too much or not enough of it, and renewable energy. So in those three areas, we see lots and lots of really fascinating homegrown solutions. There's a company that's been with us for many years called Husk Power Systems, and they are now the largest and I think as far as I know, only profitable mini-grid company in India and Africa. And so this is a company that's been with us for, I don't know, I'm trying to remember. I think they came in like 2013 maybe the first time, and the founder kept coming back and so getting help from the mentor network. In fact, the chair of his board is his mentor from Miller Center, and they just raised $100 million last year, and they're on to a $300 million round. So they're really on the way to some real scale. So there's plenty of examples.
I thought that there was one more question in the back. Do we have that one more? No. Good? No? Oh, let's go with Dave Peterson. Final question. Here comes Julie with the microphone. Wait, let's get you a microphone so it goes on the Zoom feed. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my question relates to, two comments. First of all, I didn't search for my daughter because she's already brilliant, and I had to check and see if my boys were going to be okay.
We agree.
But my real question is related to the fact that all of this sounds great in an international world. How do we take that effort and maybe break down some of the regulatory burdens that allow entrepreneurship to happen here in the United States in a manner that would really make a difference? Because it doesn't matter what you try to do, somebody's going to want to regulate you from the start.
That's really interesting, because actually the regulatory framework here in the US is way easier than a lot of the countries that we work. So I don't know the answer to your question. I don't know which regulatory frameworks you're talking about, but I will say that there's a reason why most innovation comes out of the US, UK. The Anglophone system of law is very different from like the Latin system of law, which would incorporate like Latin America, West Africa, Mozambique, where I lived there for a while, et cetera. Spain. So in those countries, you literally can't do anything unless there's a regulation first. So the first question, when you say, why don't we try this? They'll say, but there's no regulation. Here, if there's no regulation, it's kind of like, you can go ahead and do it. And I think what you're saying is you're finding that that's becoming less true. But compared to the rest, almost all of the rest of the world, we have a much easier regulatory framework. Like, I don't know, how long does it take to set up a business in like Delaware? Anyone? Yeah. You don't have that anywhere else.
We're going to have to end there. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, thank you so
But
much.
I'm interested to hear more about what you say.
Thank you. We haven't heard that perspective.
Yeah,
No, stick around, because we have made a gift in your name to the Dancing Cat Lounge, to the San Jose's own Cat Cafe and Adoption Center. I know, right?
Wow.
And then you mentioned agriculture, which is in all of our lifeblood here in Santa Clara County. These are the healthy Chandler walnuts, courtesy of our own member, Carl Silker, which is your takeaway gift. Let's grab a photo.
Delicious. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much. So I'm off.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much. One more round of applause, please. Next week, we have another super easy softball topic of the future of intercollegiate athletics with Heather Owen, which sounds a lot like Heather Bowen, which used to be my name a long time ago. Anyway, join us next week, and don't forget Socorro, the Summit Center. This is next week's meeting is definitely, if you've been thinking about bringing a guest, haven't quite gotten around to it, bring a guest. Get those lunch orders in early. We're going to need to get a good guest count on that one. It's going to be such a beautiful spring celebration. And I actually don't really have any final thoughts. That's it. All right. See y'all at Waitress. We are adjourned.